will you please help me in welcoming UWM Interim Chancellor Mark Mone.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you. I am thrilled. I am delighted. I am just absolutely passionate and tremendously happy to be able to take this next step as the Interim Chancellor at UW-Milwaukee. I want to start with thanking President Cross for your kind introduction, for your support for me to serve as UWM's Chancellor. I'd like to also give thanks to our UW System Board of Regents who are represented so well here today, and of course my UWM colleagues for all your support in the years that we've been together. So thank you for being here today and for all your support. I'd like to also, before I make a few comments about some of the things that I would like to offer as commitments over the next however many months the interim role lasts, I'd like to acknowledge our current Chancellor, Mike Lovell. Mike, I want to thank you for the great job that you've done, and I've mentioned this a number of times both to Mike and in many settings, how much better off we are for having had Mike serve as our Chancellor. We'll miss you. You've created a mighty large set of shoes for us to fill, and I certainly look forward to working with you during the transition. Thank you, Mike. Now, with all due respect, President Cross, who said, keep it short, Mark, I'd like to offer a few comments, if I may, and provide some perspectives and what I think you can expect in some of the goals and areas. And please forgive me, I think, Ray, we were working on finalizing some of the details last night, so I don't have everything worked out yet. But I would like to say that by the time the Board of Regents meets here in Milwaukee on June 5th and 6th, I'll have this more clearly articulated, and it will be something that we talk about more specifically with the leadership, the governance groups, and so forth today. But let me offer the idea, as we've seen a number of different newspaper articles, a number of internal discussions about the crossroads at which we are today. And a crossroads, if that is true, certainly suggests that we have some decisions to make, but as both President Cross, Regent Milner, and others have said, this is no time to take our foot off the gas pedal. In fact, if we let off at all, we will fall behind. We will not be able to stay in the all-competitive race that we have today on research, on our student success, on a number of different fronts. So looking to our future, I'd like to address and present to you a brief outline of a platform that I'd like to call Moving Forward Together. 3 simple words that, to me, will have, I hope, a lot of impact over the next 6, 7, or 8 months. The first thing I'd like to recognize is how important it is to complete and implement our strategic plan. Our strategic plan has, at its core, the goal of making UWM a top-tier research university that is, in our vision, as you know, a best place to learn and work for students, faculty, staff, and to really engage building on our academic plans that every school and college has contributed. The idea would be moving us forward in a very, very ambitious way on a number of fronts. The second piece is to stabilize our enrollments, the student enrollments, and continue to enhance the quality of our educational experience. There are so many great things happening every day, and the ways in which we can bring those to life and the ways in which we exist for students, for their enrichment, for their livelihoods, for the things that we've done for so many aspects of our community are critical. I think when we talk about students, we also have to recognize the important involvement and dependency we have on the tuition model that supports the university, and our enrollments, frankly, are challenging and have been challenging. So we clearly need to continue the work that the Chancellor has begun around enrollment management and look at that critically and carefully. The third thrust of the working and moving forward together is to engage further our communities through the research, education, and service activities that we do all of the time here at UWM. Our faculty research has global impact. That's a huge community. We also need to break this down. We need to look at this locally in terms of the work that every school and college is doing. The risk with giving examples is that some people will say, or some schools and colleges will feel, I'm not recognized. I apologize in advance for that. I could spend an awful lot of time. I'm only going to spend another 45 minutes, but I really could go a long time. But let me give you just a few stellar examples, the types of things that we need to underscore, we need to really look at how do we continue to engage in these ways. Our College of Nursing with Dean Sally Lundine's leadership has engaged in a number of different community nursing centers that have had dramatic impact. I think about what Magda Peck, our Dean of the Zilber School of Public Health, is doing in terms of the engagement, the community work. And Magda, help me with the zip code again, 53205? 53206, I apologize. I will get that down by my next address, but the type of work that's going on there. Dean Stan Stojkovic's work in the Helen Bader School of Social Welfare. And if you think about those words, what that signals, the Helen Bader Foundation that so believes in our mission and our work, and social welfare as a concept in the criminal justice work that's happening, but more specifically, an example is the food and beverage work with Growing Power's Will Allen, nationally recognized work. What Dean Brett Peters has brought forward in terms of the continuation of our relationships with Johnson Control in battery energy storage and a number of different elements. You know I could go on, and again, I apologize for not recognizing so many of the other areas. But this is this idea of local, sometimes community-engaged research questions that have national and global impact. Water is not a local issue. It's an international phenomenon. Education, while we have impact with our School of Education, it's a global and beyond issue. So we need to really continue to elevate that type of work through focus, and I'm going to come back to that in a moment. Those underlying three areas, if we come back to the implementation after we complete our strategic plan around a top-tier research university, as we look to enhance the student experience and stabilize enrollments, and we look at the community commitments that we have that intertwine those, the underlying piece, the fourth element, of course, is, you can guess, resources. And we need deliberate attention on that. And I'm so pleased to hear the support from, again, the regents, from UW System Administration, as articulated here today by President Cross. We specifically need to identify and obtain in as creative a manner as we can, both internally and externally, new resources for the types of efforts that we are pursuing. I'm going to identify at least three different types of areas. There's the faculty and staff pay issues. We need resources for that. We know from a variety of sources where we are at regarding salary compression. We also know that our base budget and GPR resources are underfunded. We need to do everything we can to work on that, and I'll commit to that. And the third component is our comprehensive campaign, or what we call Vision 2020. The role of scholarships, the role of endowments, the role of the support for research through faculty efforts and so forth. As an example of how our work is recognized, if you think about the recent state economic incentive grants, we have been so successful, which is a statement of faith, that the state has invested approximately $11 million in addition to our existing budget in the types of things that show the types of research-driven partnerships that are going to be, frankly, crucial for our survival in the future. So that's the platform, those four elements. I'm going to offer, beyond that platform, the idea that we will succeed by moving forward together. Again, those three words. And what I'd like to suggest is that if we don't move forward together, we miss all sorts of opportunities, whether it's identifying classes that we offer 3 or 5 different versions or variations on. There's potential for efficiencies there. I think in an organization that has with almost 5,000 full-time employees, and if you count student employees, we're at about 10,000 employees and roughly 27,000 students. In an organization this large and complex, we can find ourselves in silos, in departments, in areas that don't work as collaboratively together. But think about how research and think about how the external community sees this, not through the slices, not through these narrow areas, but more collaboratively. Again, another opportunity to work together. And of course, I've talked already about the types of community work. So what I'm suggesting is that the strategic opportunities and frankly some of the sobering challenges require a united front. So I ask today for your help as we advance these areas through moving forward together. Nigel, you're in my line of sight. Patrice, I don't know if you're here. She was here earlier this afternoon. We had a recent strategic planning meeting, and we were talking about the future, and we were talking about some of these issues. And Nigel, you and Patrice both came at this, said it a little bit differently, but the concern is with some of the transition and where we're going. But the very clear statement was, with over 200 people that are involved in strategic planning and all the activities, the thousands of people that have been involved with the academic planning over the last 2 years, we are UWM. We are UWM. Stating it so clearly that if we move together, move forward together, we just have a lot more power and a lot more solidarity and thinking about where we can go. A few final hallmarks of this platform, if you will. One is the idea that communication and transparency on a focused number of action areas is going to be important. We can't do everything. It's an interim period. We need to be very clear, and that's where I commit to you that by mid-June, I will share with the campus a set of very specific initiatives that we will work on in the interim period. And I'd like to see very clear indicators of progress on those by the time we're through with the interim period, roughly in December or January. The second piece of this is how much leadership we have already on our campus. We met a little while ago with that leadership, the individuals you see represented here today. And we shared some of these thoughts in a much briefer form. They're thinking, oh my goodness, here again, more detail, we've got this. But this is a huge and powerful statement to recognize the individuals, the institutional memory, the great things that our leadership has brought and will continue to bring that's so important going forward. And I just don't think we can stress that enough. The deans that are here, the faculty through the university committee, the Senate, our academic staff, classified staff, students, their respective governance groups, the alumni leadership that we have, we just have that tremendous depth of bench in our leadership. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't also talk about our provost in terms of his great leadership on so many different elements as we go forward. The third and final hallmark is what I'd like to recognize is in my role, many of you know from my leadership style, if you can call it that, my qualities, those of you who've worked with me, I will continue to be approachable, open, engaged, and really working on the best, thinking about the best decisions for UWM going forward. I'd like to be very clear about the relationship building, the ambassador role, but I'm just one of many, and you all can play and will play an important role. I think that the other component of this is how Mike Lovell and I have already begun. As fast as things have happened, we sat down this morning and we charted out the next several weeks in terms of the transition planning, the number of meetings with business and other community members, donors, significant relationships we have with all sorts of different organizations. So, in closing, UWM today is indeed at a crossroads. This is no time for standing still. We are going to move ahead. We are going to prepare UWM for its next chancellor, and I look forward to our work together and appreciate this opportunity to serve as your interim chancellor. I'll bring energy, optimism, and a vision for a bold UWM's future. Thank you.